Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and it was all planned, folks. Crypto was the plan all along. In the group today at daixrp.com, go there to join through the Patreon, or click this join button right here below any of my YouTube videos to join through there. I'm going to show you, all of a sudden you're seeing all this and everybody's acting like it's an epiphany, talking about Bretton Woods and all that, but we've been talking about this for a long time, and I'm telling you, this was all planned, and I'll show you in the group. And okay, so let's look here. We've got a $2 XRP. The market's just kind of sitting around this morning, nothing too interesting. Now, as I was going to bed last night, I often watch Jesse Waters when I go to bed. This is one of the best explanations of what Trump just pulled off that I've seen. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'll play the first part.
Trump told you this morning it was a great time to buy. Did you listen? If you did, you're rich.
The markets right now are extremely good.
The stock market had its best day in American history. The president announced he's pausing reciprocal tariffs for 90 days on every country, and dropping all tariffs to 10% on all countries except China. China just got hit with a 125% tariff. They're the only country that lost, and they lost big. And that's the point. China never picked up the phone. Instead, they retaliated. The rest of the world, our allies, wouldn't stop calling.
These countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything, sir.
Trump created maximum leverage for himself, and now his team's sitting pretty, taking meetings and doing deals that put America first. And if we don't like how the negotiation's going, our partners have seen the kind of pain we can cause, and they're motivated to do what we want, or else we'll make them feel the same pain. Everyone said you don't want to be last to come to the table, and China was last.
We saw the successful negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today. It has brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, they're in this very spot, do not retaliate and you will be rewarded. So every country in the world who wants to come and negotiate, we are willing to hear you.
This was a test. If you called, you're an ally. And we fly you in for a trade summit. China didn't call this morning. They retaliated with an 84% tariff on American exports. And that told us exactly who they were, not our friends. This was a trap, and China walked right into it.
That's classic. I think this is the part where he says she says, actually, just listen.
If I could just add to what the secretary said, many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here. You tried to say that the rest of the world would be moved closer to China, when in fact we've seen the opposite effect. The entire world is calling the United States of America, not China, because they need our markets, they need our consumers, and they need this president in the Oval Office to talk to them. And that's exactly why more than 75 countries have called. Because the United States of America is the best place in the world to do business. And as the president has shown great courage, as the secretary has said, in choosing to retaliate against China even higher.
Oh boy, and it's fun to watch our communist friends like Senator Elizabeth Warren. It's just so fun to watch them lose in slow motion.
Your reaction to the tariffs being rolled back?
Understand, chaos is its own form of tariff.
Let me rephrase that. Chaos brings people to the table, and then they get 90 days to negotiate a new deal that's more favorable for the U.S.
It costs everyone in the United States.
We don't have to listen to any more of her. And then all of a sudden she gets another gut punch this morning. Look what happens after it's just been a month or two of Donald Trump.
Coming in under minus 1/10 on headline, minus 1/10. We're expecting the exact opposite. We were expecting up 1/10, minus 1/10. Well, we equal where we were in May of 2020 to find a lower number. You're all the way to April of 2020, the heavy COVID-affected months of the calendar. If we take food and energy out, still coming in on the under, up 1/10. We're expecting triple that number, up 1/10. Well, that would equal where we were in June of last year. To find a lower number would be 0 in January of 21. These are definitely low numbers.
All right, and there you have it. Look at this. March U.S. consumer prices fall the most in 5 years. Oh, what have we been dealing with for the past 4 years? A bunch of clowns with a guy that's not even running the country, that's got handlers running the country for him, driving it into the ground, and all of a sudden, things start to turn around. Here's a great clip. This is with Bo Hines from the Trump administration with Thinking Crypto.
I would love if you could take us behind the curtain with President Trump. Obviously, we've heard his statements publicly about digital assets and crypto. What is he saying behind closed doors? Is he a fan of Bitcoin? Is he a fan of Ethereum? How does he? I know he has a lot on his plate, so I'm not by any means saying this is the top thing, but anything you can share there?
The president is a fan of American dominance. And I can say that, this space truly plays an integral role in securing that, just in terms of U.S. dollar dominance through stables, right? And just in a sense of what we can build with technology in this space as it relates to the financial system more generally. And in order to do that, we have to have clear regulatory authority established. We need to show people what the actual rules are so they can play in the same game together. This is something that it seems simple when you start talking about it in principle, but the reality is there's a lot of moving parts to all of this. And I think that, the president's done a phenomenal job just pulling the right actors together in the room. And then, the creation of this office, there's never been an office in the White House fully dedicated to the digital asset space. And that's a testament to the president's leadership here as well. I think that one thing that was missing here for quite some time is that, we kind of view ourselves as being an administrator and or Sherpa between interagency activity, White House policy, industry, and the Hill. And our job is to make sure that everyone's singing from the same sheet of music, right? And again, that's the president's vision coming to light about how we actually push the ball forward as it pertains to this industry and get things done. And I think it's proven to be very successful. Look how fast some of these interagency actors have moved. And that goes back to the first digital asset CEO the president signed on day 3, which he created the internal working group, which is comprised of all the relevant actors that touch anything related to this space, just in terms of agencies and other White House offices. And that gives us really common ground to come together and have conversations that are necessary to get to the right outcomes. And part of my job too, and what I've done over the course of the last few months, is just take on as many meetings with industry as I possibly can. I'm very keen on the idea that industry does know best. These folks live, breathe, and sleep this every day, and they've all faced a unique set of challenges, whether they're Goliaths in the space or whether they're startups. We want to hear from everybody. That allows us to basically garner information and translate that information to something that's digestible and palatable for other folks to receive that maybe don't interact with the space as much or don't understand why this is so important. And so we've really taken that upon ourselves in our office to do that. And I think that we're, so far we've been successful.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. A lot of progress made, a lot of promises kept.
Okay. Look at this from Simon McLaughlin, who's the CEO of Uphold. Top trending assets on Uphold. XRP, and then Hedera Hashgraph, then XDC, then Bitcoin, then Stellar Lumens. Folks, by the way, I recently went to Washington, D.C. My son had never been, and we took him. And I saw, there were millions of people there, I think. It was crowded because it was spring break. I saw no less than 4 different people wearing XDC Network t-shirts. It's kind of random. Okay, I had to do this. This Bitcoin Pierre guy is so arrogant that I just had to do this. Back when we were, when he was And he started it. He kept coming after Ripple and XRP when the price was going up because he felt threatened. And so Digital Perspectives, Brad Combs said this, old Pierre never responded to the forced Satoshi evidence from the Department of Homeland Security. Why would any investor be that afraid of understanding the pros and cons of their investment? I've heard too many people claim they met Satoshi to take it seriously. Well, the problem is he's heard tons of people that claimed to be or have met Satoshi, but this is Homeland Security, and that's what makes it different. And so I just informed him of James Murphy's lawsuit against Homeland Security. And I asked him, "Are you taking it seriously now?" I would be if I were him. Look at this from Stuart Alderati. They're confirming the vote to get Paul Atkins in as the SEC chairman. He says it's a new day. And then there's this. This was a guy who was on Raoul Paul's show. I keep telling you this was all planned long ago, folks. The writing's on the wall.
Back in 2020, when I finally capitulated and accepted that it was the transparent coordination between the Treasury and the Federal Reserve, and the Treasuries and the central banks globally, I think that was kind of where I capitulated and said, okay, this is what's going to happen from here. Because it's not even hidden anymore. And therefore, it took me too long, I'd say, to recognize that it was here to stay. And the Silicon Valley Bank case was the final nail in the coffin. I remember you and I doing an emergency live, probably on the week after the Silicon Valley case, and you basically just leaned back and said they're going to, just going to backstop this. And having worked in banks and cooperated with bank treasuries, I was scared of that because, it was the first thing I saw when I entered the trading desk. It was Lehman, and it wasn't backstopped, right? And this felt Lehman-like when immediately when I saw I kind of got that PTSD from the Lehman crisis. And I told people that...
Folks, crypto was created to backstop the U.S. dollar. Write it down.
This is Lehman-like if they don't do anything. But they backstopped it, and they backstopped it immediately. And the defining moment for me was this, I think I can't remember his name, but a senator from Oklahoma asked Janet Yellen in Congress, maybe the week after Silicon Valley Bank, okay, if this was one of the community banks in Oklahoma, would you backstop that bank as well? Would you backstop my voters' deposits in such case? And she didn't give a clear answer. And that led to this whole deposit flight from regional banks into larger banks. Ultimately, the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Secretary basically more or less publicly stated, okay, we're also going to backstop the regional banks as a consequence. So the system is now backstopped officially. That was where I caved in, finally. So I made a lot of money on crypto, especially MicroStrategy in 2024 for tax reasons. I had the biggest position in that. But I'm here to stay now.
Because you realise that it's the fastest horse to back in a debasement.
Yes. The system is backstopped. That was what I learned from Silicon Valley.
The system is backstopped.
Bank and the regional bank crisis. But it took me too long to acknowledge that everything is backstopped, because this essentially is.
All right. So in DAIXRP, go to DAIXRP.com for the Patreon group. It's less than cost of a cup of coffee. Or click the join button behind all these YouTube videos. We're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about how this was all planned, and we're going to talk about why XRP size matters. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Let's go talk about how size matters for XRP and how it was all planned. Here we go.